Welcome. In today's digital world, dominated by algorithms, a hidden but powerful phenomenon is shaping the lives of content creators. We call it the follower profile trap. Imagine this: you're a creator on a platform like Xiaohongshu or Instagram. By chance, your early content goes viral among a specific group, say, male college students. The platform's algorithm, designed to maximize engagement, sees this and thinks, aha, this creator is popular with young men. From that moment on, it relentlessly pushes your content to more and more users with the same profile. You gain thousands, even hundreds of thousands of followers. You feel successful. But when you try to monetize your account through brand deals, you hit a wall. The platform's main advertisers are selling makeup, fashion, and skincare products targeted at high-spending urban women. Your large male following, in this commercial context, is considered worthless. Your hard work leads to a dead end, and you might even be forced to abandon the account you poured your heart into. This isn't just bad luck, it's a systemic issue we'll be exploring today, which we call the algorithmic funnel. This follower profile trap isn't an accidental glitch. It's a systemic feature that emerges when a platform's recommendation algorithm is deeply tied to its business model. We can define this as algorithmic economic stratification. In simple terms, the platform uses its algorithm to invisibly sort and rank users and creators based on their potential commercial value. This creates an unseen class system, where some are deemed high-value assets and others are marginalized. This stratification has profound economic and cultural consequences for a creator's career, the diversity of content we see online, and even our own user experience. In this analysis, we'll use Xiaohongshu as a core case study, but we'll also look at how this plays out on other major platforms like TikTok, Bilibili, and Weibo to provide a comprehensive view. We'll dissect the economic foundations of these platforms, deconstruct the algorithms that act as the engine of this system, analyze the strategies creators use to survive, and finally, discuss the broader impact on our digital world and potential paths forward. Let's begin by understanding the basic rules of the game. To understand the root of the follower profile trap, we first need to look at how these platforms are built to make money. At their core, content platforms are multi-sided markets. Their main job is to connect three key groups: content consumers, which is us, the users, content producers, the creators, and the funding source, which is the advertisers. The business model is a classic example of the attention economy. First, the platform uses great content and community features to attract and keep as many users as possible, for as long as possible. They want to maximize our total screen time. Then, they package this collective attention and sell it as a product to advertisers who want to reach specific audiences. In this three-way game, the platform faces a constant balancing act. It needs to maximize user engagement metrics like daily active users and time spent on the app, because that's the foundation of the product they sell. But it also needs to maximize ad revenue, which can hurt the user experience if there are too many ads or if they're irrelevant. How a platform solves this puzzle directly shapes its entire ecosystem. In the attention economy, not all attention is created equal. The economic value of a single follower is directly tied to their demographics, their age, gender, location, income level, and spending habits. Both brands and the platforms themselves have systems to quantify the commercial value of different follower groups. For example, early in TikTok's development, a single follower's ad value was roughly estimated at less than half a cent. Today, the calculation is more complex, but the logic is the same. The better a creator's followers match a high-profit commercial category, the higher their value. Take the luxury goods industry. Brands will precisely target affluent professionals in major cities, with a strong focus on female consumers. A creator with a large following that fits this golden profile can command very high prices for brand collaborations. Conversely, a creator whose followers fall outside this circle will see their commercial value plummet, even if they have a massive and highly engaged audience. This creates an invisible hierarchy of follower value, where some users are seen as prime commercial assets while others are deemed low value, regardless of their loyalty or engagement. Xiaohongshu, also known as Little Red Book, is the perfect case study for understanding the follower profile trap. The platform's DNA is rooted in product seeding, a form of word-of-mouth marketing where users share product recommendations. This inherently links content creation directly with consumer behavior. Xiaohongshu's business model is a seamless integration of user-generated content, community interaction, and e-commerce, designed to guide a user from seeing a product to wanting it and finally to buying it. The platform's most profitable commercial categories are heavily skewed towards female consumption, beauty, skincare, fashion, mother and baby products, and home decor. This market positioning makes young, urban, high-spending women the most valuable strategic asset in the entire Xiaohongshu ecosystem. For creators, the main ways to make money are through brand collaborations, publishing sponsored seeding notes, and, increasingly, livestream shopping. A creator's commercial worth is explicitly tied to their follower count and how well their follower profile matches this target demographic. The industry consensus is that a creator starts having commercial value once they hit around 5,000 precise followers. This is why a creator who builds a large male following on Xiaohongshu, perhaps by sharing content about gaming or fitness, finds themselves completely outside the platform's core commercial loop. The problem doesn't start with the algorithm, it starts with the platform's strategic business decisions. By choosing to focus on a high-profit but narrow female consumer market, Xiaohongshu predefined the rules of the game. It decided what kind of content and what kind of user is valuable from the very beginning. The algorithm simply becomes the loyal and efficient enforcer of this initial economic setup. This reveals a deeper conflict between three different definitions of value within the platform's ecosystem. First, there's the user's value, which is about getting entertainment, information, or a sense of community. Second, there's the algorithm's value, which is about maximizing measurable engagement metrics like likes, comments, and watch time, which it uses as a proxy for user satisfaction. And third, there's the platform and advertisers' value, which is about the ultimate potential for commercial conversion, a user's purchasing power. Here's the clash. A male user might be genuinely fascinated by a female creator's travel vlog and contribute high levels of engagement. The algorithm, following its goal to maximize engagement, correctly identifies him as an ideal audience member. But if that creator's monetization path depends on beauty brand deals, that highly engaged male fan has almost zero commercial value to the advertiser. This shows that engagement is a flawed proxy for commercial value, and the creator is caught in the crossfire of this value misalignment. If the platform's economic structure sets the rules of the game, then the recommendation algorithm is the powerful engine that enforces those rules. The algorithm's internal logic doesn't just execute the platform's commercial goals, it amplifies them, ultimately turning the follower profile trap from a possibility into a widespread reality. Fundamentally, a recommendation algorithm is a complex prediction system. Its core job is to calculate the probability that a user will take a specific action on a piece of content, like clicking, liking, watching, or buying. It's crucial to understand that the algorithm doesn't understand the meaning or artistic merit of a video. Instead, it relies on massive amounts of data, user behavior, content features, and environmental context to find patterns and make predictions. Two key mechanisms drive this process. One is collaborative filtering, which works on the principle of people who like X also like Y. The other is content-based filtering, which operates on if you liked content with these tags, you'll like more content with similar tags. Let's break down how these mechanisms create the trap. The follower profile trap is formed by a positive feedback loop, where these algorithmic mechanisms continuously reinforce each other. The process typically unfolds in 4 stages. First, the initial signal. A creator posts a video that, perhaps by pure chance, gets slightly higher than average engagement from a specific group, like male college students. This is the tiny spark that starts the fire. Second, hypothesis and test. The algorithm detects this signal and forms a hypothesis. This creator's content might be popular with male college students. It then starts testing this hypothesis by pushing the content to a small, new group of users with a similar profile. Third, signal confirmation. If this new test group also shows high engagement, the algorithm's hypothesis is confirmed. In the algorithm's mind, this creator is now officially tagged with the male college student follower profile. Fourth, reinforcement and lock-in. Once the tag is confirmed, the algorithm shifts from exploration to exploitation. It will now confidently push all of the creator's future content primarily to this validated group, because it's the most efficient, lowest risk way to achieve its KPI of maximizing engagement. At the same time, it reduces the exploratory traffic sent to other potential audiences, like professional women. Once this loop starts, it's incredibly difficult to reverse, creating a path dependency that locks the creator into a specific niche. So why can't a creator just pivot their content to escape the trap? This is where the system becomes truly punishing. Imagine our creator, now locked into the male college student profile, decides to create content aimed at a different audience, like luxury travel vlogs. When they post this new video, the algorithm's first move is to show it to their existing, solidified follower base. Naturally, this new content doesn't resonate with their old fans, and the engagement data, likes, comments, watch time, is terrible. The algorithm doesn't interpret this as the creator is trying to transition. It makes a much simpler, data-driven judgment: this is a low-quality piece of content. As a result, it suppresses the video's distribution, effectively punishing the creator for attempting to diversify. This mechanism makes abandoning the account and starting over a more economically rational decision than trying to transform an existing one. It's the supply-side version of the filter bubble. Not only are users trapped in their interest bubbles, but creators are trapped in their follower profile bubbles. While the follower profile trap is a universal phenomenon, it manifests differently on each platform due to their unique business models and algorithmic tuning. Let's start with TikTok, or Douyin in China. Its algorithm is built around a powerful interest graph, and its commercial model is heavily reliant on interest-based e-commerce using content to spark a user's latent desire to buy something. On TikTok, content discovery is so powerful that it often overrides a user's social connections. Here, the trap isn't necessarily about follower demographics like gender, but about being locked into a specific interest tag that is popular but has low commercial value. For example, a creator could go viral for explaining niche historical facts. They might accumulate millions of followers who love their content. However, this history facts interest tag is very difficult to connect with the mainstream e-commerce products that drive revenue on the platform, like fast-moving consumer goods, fashion, or beauty products. The creator ends up with massive traffic but struggles to convert it into a sustainable income. Now let's look at Bilibili, a platform built on strong community culture and subcultural identity. Historically, user subscriptions and community interactions were the main drivers of content distribution. While Bilibili is now pushing for more commercialization and algorithmic recommendation, its unique culture creates a different kind of trap. On Bilibili, a creator can get trapped in a niche that has high cultural capital but low commercial conversion potential. For instance, a creator who produces in-depth philosophical analyses of anime might be highly respected within their core fanbase. However, this same fanbase is often deeply skeptical or even hostile towards direct commercialization. They might see a brand deal or product placement as selling out. This "I thought we were friends, but you're just trying to sell me stuff" mentality creates immense psychological pressure and financial risk for creators who try to monetize. The potential backlash from their loyal community can outweigh the benefits of a brand partnership, making it a very difficult balancing act. Finally, let's consider Weibo, which is a hybrid of a social network and a public town square for discussing current events. Its commercialization model has often been criticized as inefficient, with poor ad targeting and low user tolerance for sponsored content in their feeds. The trap on Weibo is different again. A creator can gain enormous fame and a huge follower count by participating in public debates or sharing viral entertainment content. However, this type of traffic is commercially fragile. Brands are often risk-averse and will actively avoid partnering with creators who are associated with controversy or political topics. As a result, a Weibo creator might have millions of followers, but these followers are more like onlookers than potential customers. Their massive audience doesn't translate into commercial potential, leaving them with fame that is difficult to monetize. This comparison shows that the algorithm is never a neutral tool. It's an economic instrument shaped by the platform's specific business goals. Now, let's shift our focus to the creators themselves. They aren't just passive victims of this system, they are rational actors who observe, learn, and adapt their strategies to survive. However, what might be an optimal strategy for an individual can lead to negative outcomes for the entire ecosystem. For those unlucky creators who fall into the follower profile trap, the reality is brutal. They experience a stark contrast between their growing popularity and their meager income. They invest countless hours creating content that a specific audience loves, but the platform's market structure denies them a fair economic return for their labor. Brand partnerships are the primary income source for most creators, but brands and their agencies use follower demographics as a critical, non-negotiable filter. A beauty brand will simply never partner with a creator whose audience is 90% male, no matter how high their engagement rate is. This logic cuts off the financial lifeline for mismatched creators, leading directly to what's known as creator burnout. When the effort consistently fails to produce expected returns, abandoning the account, despite the huge sunk cost of building it, becomes the only logical economic decision. The failures of their predecessors have a profound effect on new creators entering the space. They see the traps and understand the platform's unwritten rules. As a result, they no longer naively believe that content is king. Instead, they adopt a highly strategic approach from the moment they create their account. This is a key insight. They engage in a form of predictive transformation, disciplining and tailoring their content from day one. These savvy creators meticulously research the platform's dominant commercial categories and identify the most valuable user profiles. Their entire content strategy, from topic selection and title writing to thumbnail design and visual style, is carefully engineered to attract this target audience. This is a rational response to the economic incentives of the platform. It's simply learning how to play the game to win. In this process, a creator's personal authenticity is often sacrificed for economic survival and growth. While some research suggests new influencers prioritize authenticity to grow their audience, that model assumes the resulting followers can eventually be monetized. If the path of being authentic leads to a commercial dead end, a rational new creator will choose to perform a commercially viable persona from the very beginning. When a large number of creators adopt this same strategic catering approach, their individual rational choices combine to create a negative trend at the macro level: content homogenization. Creators flock to the topics that have been proven to be safe and profitable, such as beauty, fashion, and food reviews. This leads to an oversaturation of content in these areas, where creativity stagnates and styles become increasingly similar. This is a more advanced ecological problem than the filter bubble. A filter bubble describes how users on the consumption side are fed similar content by the algorithm. But here, we're talking about a problem on the supply side. Because of the singular economic incentive, diverse content is being killed at the source. Niche, experimental, critical, or simply unprofitable content is systematically starved of the resources needed to survive. This not only robs users of the chance to encounter more diverse perspectives but also damages the long-term health of the platform itself. A vibrant, innovative platform needs a rich and diverse ecosystem to keep users engaged and attract new ones over time. This system creates an invisible barrier to entry for creators whose backgrounds or interests don't align with the mainstream commercial targets. The effects of the follower profile trap extend far beyond individual creators. They impact the structure of the platforms, the experience of users, and the future of our entire digital culture. Understanding these macro consequences is key to finding a better path forward. From a short-term perspective, tightly binding the algorithm to core business goals is extremely efficient for the platform. This algorithmic funnel precisely filters and refines the most commercially valuable user segments and delivers them to advertisers, maximizing ad revenue and e-commerce conversion. It's a strategy that achieves a local optimum. However, in the long run, this strategy could be like drinking poison to quench a thirst. As we've discussed, content homogenization is the most direct negative consequence. This leads to aesthetic fatigue and, eventually, user churn. A platform that lacks content diversity is fragile and vulnerable to shifts in user taste and new competitors. A healthy, sustainable ecosystem must be able to nurture a wide range of interests and cultures. Platforms are aware of this paradox. That's why we see them launching expensive creator support programs, investing huge sums of money and traffic to foster content in non-core commercial areas like science, humanities, and technology. This is a costly, manual intervention designed to counteract the negative side effects of their own automated systems. While our focus has been on the creator's plight, there's another side to this story: the non-commercial audiences who are marginalized by both the market and the algorithm. When a platform's ecosystem dedicates all its best resources, the top creators, the most visibility, the best commercial tools, to serving a specific high-value demographic, it sends a clear message to everyone else: your attention is not valuable. This constitutes what researchers call allocative harm and representational harm. The system fails to allocate sufficient high-quality, diverse content to these groups, and their representation on the platform is diminished. For example, if a platform's ecosystem assumes male users are only interested in gaming, cars, and comedy, and continuously feeds them this type of content, it does more than just limit their information diet. It reinforces narrow gender stereotypes and denies them the opportunity to explore a wider world of interests and a more diverse version of themselves. Their experience is systematically impoverished because their demographic profile is not considered a prime target for advertisers. Addressing this complex, systemic problem requires a multi-pronged effort from platforms, creators, and regulators. Let's explore some potential solutions, starting with the platforms themselves. First, platforms could engage in algorithmic audits and fairness optimization. They have the technical ability to design multi-objective recommendation systems. Instead of solely optimizing for commercial KPIs, they could include goals like content diversity, novelty, and fairness of opportunity for creators as parallel objectives. Regular internal audits could help identify and mitigate issues like the follower profile trap. Second, they could provide enhanced creator tools. Imagine a dashboard that not only shows a creator their current follower profile but also reveals the discovery paths of their content and their potential audiences. Giving creators more transparent data and even a degree of control over who their content is initially tested with could empower them to break out of algorithmic boxes. Finally, platforms must diversify monetization channels. By heavily promoting alternatives to brand advertising such as paid subscriptions, tipping, fan crowdfunding, or micropayments for premium content, they can create viable commercial paths for a much wider variety of creators and fan communities. This would reduce the ecosystem's over-reliance on a single, narrow business model. Beyond platform self-regulation, government intervention is becoming a reality. The European Union's Digital Services Act, or DSA, which came into full effect in 2024, is a landmark piece of legislation for global platform governance. The DSA introduces powerful new rules that could help address the problems we've discussed. It requires very large online platforms to be highly transparent about how their recommendation systems work. They must explain the main parameters used for recommendations and, crucially, offer users at least one recommendation option that is not based on profiling. This gives users a way to escape the algorithmic filter. More importantly, the DSA mandates that these platforms conduct annual independent systemic risk assessments. They must evaluate how their algorithms negatively impact fundamental rights, such as freedom of expression and non-discrimination, as well as public discourse and cultural diversity. They are then legally required to take measures to mitigate these risks. While the DSA doesn't explicitly name the follower profile trap, the framework it creates is a powerful tool. A creator being systematically denied commercial opportunities based on their follower profile could certainly be argued as a form of economic discrimination that infringes on their right to work and equal opportunity. This suggests that the future of regulation will move beyond surface-level content moderation and delve deep into the economic fairness of the underlying algorithms. Our analysis has shown that the follower profile trap is not an isolated bug, but a systemic consequence of how today's digital platforms are designed. It's a classic case of market failure, where the pursuit of local optimums like short-term ad revenue leads to a globally suboptimal outcome: stifled creators, homogenized content, and marginalized audiences. It is an algorithmic funnel woven from economic incentives, algorithmic logic, and the rational choices of individuals trying to survive within it. So, what can be done? We propose a few key strategies for each player in this ecosystem. For creators, the key is diversification. Build a follower asset portfolio across multiple platforms to attract different audiences and reduce risk. And critically, develop direct monetization channels like newsletters or paid communities to build a business independent of the platform's ad system. For platforms, the focus should be on transparency and market development. Give creators an audience discovery dashboard and more control. Strategically invest in building ad markets for currently non-commercial niches, turning them from cost centers into new profit centers. And for advertisers, it's time to think beyond simple demographics. Upgrade evaluation metrics to focus on true community engagement and cultural fit. A small, dedicated niche community can offer a far better return on investment than a massive, generic audience. Investing in content diversity isn't just social responsibility, it's a long-term strategy for reaching untapped markets and building cultural capital. Breaking the algorithmic funnel requires a collective effort to build a more transparent, diverse, and equitable digital world for everyone.